Well, as good as that Monday night action was, it was not to be outshined by Sunday night football. The primetime matchup saw the Patriots on a long road trip to Seattle, and it came down to the final play. Seahawks stuffed Cam Newton at the goal line, ending the comeback and securing the 35-30 victory. Russell Wilson added to his MVP campaign, throwing 5 touchdowns to 5 different receivers. Cam Newton also looked great, throwing for almost 400 yards, almost 200 of those to Julian Edelman. In the end, though, Seattle goes home with a win and a 2-0 start. So, Drink, is Russell Wilson making a best quarterback in the league case? And what do you make of the Cam Newton era so far in New England?
Russell Wilson is absolutely making the best quarterback case, baby. You can't give me a quarterback that didn't play better than him in the first 2 weeks, regardless. We'll see as it go down. Love myself some Patrick Mahomes. Love myself some Lamar Jackson, but and I love myself some
Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen, huh? Yeah, good luck with that. But listen, you need to go see a doctor. But here's the deal. Russell, listen, if you watch the Seahawks last 2 games, because when you say best quarterback case, you got to think we're not just zoning in on what the quarterback is doing for himself. We're talking about what he's doing for others. All right. Look, it's Greg, what's his name? Greg Olsen. He could have very well retired this year, but he decided to come back and play again. He's out there, putting the wore out knees and foots to work, and he doing what he got to do for the Seahawks. DJ Metcalf. I mean, after last year, he had his times, his spots where he was good here, but he fell off for the next 3 games, and so on and so forth. Well, in the first 2 games, he been looking pretty phenomenal. I know maybe him and Russell worked out at some point this offseason and got some things in order, but he's definitely the number 1 receiver for that team. And then Tyler Lockett, Mr. I can do it all. Give me what you got. Very underrated receiver, I think, but I think he's a great adjustment for DJ Metcalf and for Russell Wilson. He's a good bailout wide receiver. I've seen him bail out Russell Wilson quite a few times in that game against the Patriots. And then we seen the running back core. Chris Carson is looking good. Carlos Hyde looking good. And for the first time in I don't know how long, the offensive line actually knows how to help somebody out. They do more than pick their quarterback off the ground. They actually keep him off the ground a little bit, a little here and there. So back to the question, absolutely. But I always say this: Russell Wilson has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league for like the last at least 4 to 5 years. It's always been a reason why he got snubbed for that MVP, whether that's Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball sideways around people like it's the Matrix, or whether it just Lamar Jackson so fast, he got to wear different color sleeves so you don't get confused on his skin color. It's like there's always something that's crazy, extraordinary that brings out a reason why Russell Wilson don't get the MVP. But, as we talked about in the past show, I think this is the year for Russell Wilson. And he's playing like he wanted this year. He's playing like he wants that MVP. So I do think he's making a hell of a case for that. Now, Cam Newton, oh yeah. Let me tell you something. These young wide receivers out there, they're like, yeah, we so happy to have Cam Newton. We so happy to have a guy that can help us out, that can actually outrun a welcome Matt. You know what I'm saying? We got a guy that can, help. Listen, Harry, what was the other guy? I never even heard of this guy until like he threw him the ball like Bird. That's what it was. Bird, Julian Edelman. He's actually became a deep threat this year. It's been a while since we seen Julian Edelman just streaking down the middle of the field, catching 50-yard bombs and all this, because Tom Brady got to pat the ball 3 times, and if he pat it on the 3rd time and ain't nothing now, it's either a sack or it's flying out of the sideline. But you ain't getting much more than that, right? Well, Cam Newton give these young guys a little juice, a little feel. He's giving Julian Edelman a chance to be more than just a slot receiver. These guys are actually getting a chance. And listen, I, for one, was the one that was saying, I don't know Cam Newton to work in this system. I don't know. Yeah, I got it. He was a former MVP, but I'm just not sold on it. I was wrong. Like, I guess for me, I underestimated the impact and the relationship he would have with the younger players. And I oversold the relationship that Tom Brady didn't have with the younger players when he was there last year. There's no way I will bet a paycheck that these young players, these receivers, are playing a lot better with Cam Newton this year than they would ever play with Tom Brady. Because Tom Brady didn't have the patience for these guys. He was chewing out Harry the whole season. He was getting on-the-job training the whole season last year from getting his butt ripped every single game, to the point where you can't tell me Harry was motivated to play every game last year, because he was like, man, listen, I'm finna go out here. I'm gonna make one move wrong, and here come Tom Brady chewing me out. Like, I'm just over this. I can't wait for this season to be over. Now, Harry like, sign me up. Where you at, Cam? Where you want me at, baby? I'm over here. Let me run this deep route. Hey, Bird, like, these dudes want to play. I feel like the Patriots now, they look like a more welcoming team. It's not as machine-like as it once was with Tom Brady and the other likes. You know, all these guys that kind of just went through the motion because Bill Belichick had them programmed, and this how it's gonna go. This is how it's gonna go. They look like a actual fun franchise this year. You got, and even you can see that it's a good negotiation that's happening between Bill Belichick and Cam Newton. If you actually look at Cam Newton's celebration, you can see it's a negotiation, because Cam Newton don't do the crazy, you know, he just goes, he does his little celebration, 2 seconds, boom, button it back up, head back to the sideline. He ain't been extra. He ain't been all crazy like he once was. And you can tell they got a negotiation. Hey, man, do your thing, but let's not get overboard. And Cam looking to be like, hey, I like it. I can deal with this. I think I undersold the Patriots. I'm not even going to lie. I said the Buffalo Bills will win the division. I'm going to stick with them. But I like what I see out the Patriots. Yeah, they lost the game. But you ain't even tell me Tom Brady would have had that before. I think this would have been a smoke check if Tom Brady would have been there, personally. Because Cam Newton made a lot of plays. He was one play away from winning the game, too, I might add. They get another snap, it's very well that they could have won the game. But, time ran out. I don't think Tom Brady do that for you. I'm needless to say, this Cam Newton era seems to be like something is popping. And they got enough. They got enough to win the division. I'm still going with the Bills, but I think I've seen enough in these first 2 games that made me think this Patriots team do have enough where they can win the division. That's about it. That's the ceiling for me. You might make the playoffs, and they're getting you out of there in the first game. You getting up out of there. But I was very impressed. So I think that this Cam Newton era is good so far. Russell Wilson is definitely making a best quarterback / MVP case as of right now. We got to see. We need more football to be played. But I'm impressed with both guys, and I was very entertained with the game. I think NBC did a good job picking that game as the Sunday night game. But listen. We got to see, man. But, hey, shouts out to you, Russell Wilson. Make me right. Go win this MVP. Holla at your boy.
Yeah, Russell Wilson, he's definitely making a case for best quarterback. And to me, it's nothing new. It's a case he made last year as well. If you remember, he was the front runner for the majority of the season until Lamar Jackson got so red hot that you just could not deny the just ridiculousness of his season. And you remember Seattle, they kind of stumbled a little bit to the finish line, and they ended up losing the NFC West to the San Francisco 49ers. So it's just one of those things where Lamar got hot at the right time, and the Seahawks and Russell Wilson tailed off just a little bit. But he's off to a great start. The numbers through the first 2 games are off the charts. He has absolutely destroyed the Falcons defense and the Patriots defense, even with all the immense talent they have in that secondary. I mean, they couldn't handle him either. And he's got 1 interception on his resume so far this season. But yeah, you go ahead and chalk that up to Greg Olsen not being able to catch the ball. And then next thing you know, McCourty's just running away down the field. So he's got 1 pick, but it doesn't even really count. So there's no question he's off to a great start. He's the main reason I thought the Seahawks I mean, they were, to me, I think they're the front runner for this division, especially when you look at what's happening in San Francisco right now. So I think they'll be fine. I think we'll see them at the very least in the NFC Championship game. So they're not really a surprise to me. And I'm not really surprised at what I'm seeing from New England in particular. Cam Newton, you know, we talked about this seemingly all offseason, how just unbelievable it was in some ways that Cam Newton was unemployed for so long. And we knew some of the reasoning behind it. And we went through, you know, the entire league and saying, okay, which teams are actually available that we could see Cam playing for? And we came up with two because either teams had, you know, a veteran that they just were going with and believed in right now, or they had invested in a young guy and it's too early to move off of that guy. And we, you remember how we did it. We came up with the Chargers and Patriots. And then the Chargers ended up going to the draft. They take Justin Herbert, and then the Patriots were the only logical, kind of move. And that's what ended up happening. We talked about whether or not Bill Belichick would make such a move, but he did. And to the Patriots' credit, we talked about the system. Well, the Patriots, I mean, they adjust as well as anyone in football. And most of the time, we attribute those adjustments to the defensive side, because when you have a quarterback like Tom Brady for almost 20 years, you don't really need to adjust. So you got to give credit to the staff and Josh McDaniels for kind of tailoring this offense to fit Cam Newton. Because Cam Newton's off and running this season. He's got 26 rushing attempts so far. I believe he's got 2 rushing touchdowns in both games. So they're willing to utilize what he does well, and he's also throwing the football extremely well. 15 of 19 in game 1, I believe, and then 30 for 44. I mean, the guy's airing it out. And this is not a uber-talented group of wide receivers when you talk about Edelman and Harry and then Damiere Byrd. I mean, who is that? I think that Damiere Byrd and Cam Newton were teammates in Carolina for a stretch. Maybe that's the reason for some of their chemistry. But they're making it work. I mean, this offense to me is fun to watch. It would be even more fun to watch if we could get anything from, I don't know, Sonny Michel and Rex Burkhead. Could we do better than 13 carries for 21 yards? That would be awesome. But I think this is one of those things. Week 2 with Cam Newton, his second game, you're on the road in Seattle. Seattle, we know how formidable they are there. And I think Seattle, just at this stage, I think we expect a little bit more from them than we would from New England at this stage. And I think you're right. Ultimately, I think New England's ceiling is being the third best team, because I just think Kansas City and Baltimore, they're too talented. And Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, they're just on another level. I don't know if Cam can elevate to that level, especially considering the personnel he has to work with. It simply is not the same that Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson have at their disposal. It's just not. But in terms of the division, Patriots have the best quarterback. They have the best coach. And your points on Tom Brady and how it may not, it may have gotten a little old for some of those young guys. Remember, Tom Brady's an old guy, been around for that long. He's going to be rigid. He's going to want to do things his way. Cam Newton's a polar opposite. I mean, he's a fun-loving guy, but he's also a hard worker. And you remember, just watching Cam Newton play football with the smile and just the swag remember that 2015 Carolina Panther team, the just fun that they had together? He brings an energy that's infectious. I think that's something that's running through this Patriot team. I think they benefit from it throughout the year. And ultimately, I think this is going to be a fun show that New England's going to bring out each week. And I think we should all look forward to it and also appreciate the fact that this guy 5 years ago was an MVP candidate. He had some health trouble, but he's back, and it is a joy to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely on record saying I thought this was going to be a good experiment for them, and it so far looks good. It really does. Cam Newton hasn't thrown for 397 or more yards since the last 2 games of his rookie season, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been a long time since he was throwing the ball quite like this. And what I like about it is it's not like he's overly reliant on his running ability. It doesn't seem like that's the first option. It really feels like he is trying to look through his reads and make all his decisions, and there ain't nothing there. All right, well, see you later. I'm out. Which is, I was thinking, because he would have a limited time with the offense and limited time with the coaching staff, he might fall back on that a lot more than he has, but it hasn't really been the case. Also, you got to know, N'Keal Harry's healthy. He wasn't healthy last year. Remember, he missed more than half the season. He came back like week 11, week 12, And we know how guys that come back from injuries, they're not 100%. They're kind of messing around. And I'm sure, Drink, you're right, too. He was probably, on pins and needles already as a rookie, and now you've been sitting around in a bed for weeks or whatever. It's hard to get to that level immediately. So, he's had a full season. That looks really good. Edelman had a career day. Julian Edelman never did this with Tom Brady. I mean, 179 yards. He never did that with Tom Brady at all. So there's something there that these Patriots have discovered. And, for the Seahawks, I think Russell Wilson's close on that case. Our memories are short. We all know that Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, what they just did in the last season and before. Let's not get super carried away. But Russell Wilson, if he wasn't already number 3, he's pretty clearly number 3 now, and he's coming up he's in the review mirror as soon as they look up. The only thing I'll also add real quick, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but Jamal Adams, so far, that trade for Seattle looking really good. He's masked a ton of problems on the Seahawks defense. They gave up 25 to Atlanta. They gave up 30 this past week, and they almost lost. I mean, it came down to the last play, and a pretty unheralded player had to come in and make the hit on Cam Newton just because he made a smart play, he made a smart read, and got in there on the play. But they could have lost this game by one play, and Jamal Adams, 22 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and 4 quarterback hits in 2 games. Not only is he helping out that secondary, but he's also masking a big problem for Seattle, which is a pretty anemic pass rush. It was a problem last year. David Clowney didn't fix it, and it's not a lot better this year. So that's one of the problems that Seattle's going to haunt them going along. But Jamal Adams has been a really big help to this defense, and to me, it's the reason they're not 1-1, but 2-0.